Hey guys, today I want to make another video about the 33x33. This time I want to show you the mechanism, so I'm not going to open this up because I don't want to spend too much time on this puzzle. Nevertheless, I'm going to show you the original file of the computer-assisted design software that I use. But before I start, I just want to make you guys flip out by doing this. Oh! So sorry guys about this. I know you hate it when I throw my puzzles around, but I just had to do it. Now, this is the 33x33 design. Now, before I start, I just want to explain something. I use the binary approach. For those who don't know what that is, it's when you have a puzzle with, let's say, for example, 3 layers, like this one. Oh, well, let's just say you have these 3 layers right there, 1, 2, 3. And what you do is you put one layer in between the two and hook it between the two. So that's a binary because you start with, for example, 3 layers, and then you put one in between each layer, and that gives you 5. So that's called binary. So now let me show you. These are all the unique pieces of the 33x33. That means in the 33x33, there are 260 unique parts. You can see that here. Which is a lot, and that took a lot of time to finish because I had to do the fillets, I had to do the tolerances, as you can see here, for example. There was a lot of work. Now let me show you the inner workings of the 33x33. This is the inner mechanism of the puzzle. So this is a 3x3. This is basically the classic corner, edge, and center pieces of a 3x3. Now, I'm going to show you the second layer, and as you can see, there's one hook on this side, well, at least one sort of platform on this side and one on that side. And this is going to be used to put one part in between those two parts right there, and this is where the binary approach starts. So I've taken the 5x5 layer, and so as you can see, I've just included like this layer, I've just added it to the design. So there's the 3x3 right there. And then you put one layer in between, and so you're gonna get a 5x5. So with one layer here, one there, and on the other side, and 2 layers in between each layer. So this is what it looks like from the top and from the side. So this is the well, not the corner, but this is the small part that you get, which is the center corner of a 5x5. And it's quite complex, as you can see. So there's this big foot right there, and then you've got different levels. Now this is going to be used for the last part of the mechanism, but as you can see, there's again, see, I told you before there was one hook here, one there. Now that way this part comes in right here, but as you can see now I've got the same thing here. This is because I chose another binary mechanism for the 2 next layers that show up here. Well, 4 layers if you count that there are 2 other ones on the other side. And this is going to be the 9x9, so let me show you this. Okay, so I've put those parts in, and as you can see, they hook on the left and on the right. So in between each layer that I had previously, there are 2. Well, there's one new layer in between each 2 layers that I had before. So that makes 1, 2, and 1, 2 on the other side. And as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 parts right there, 4 on the other side, and the center. So that makes 9 layers in total. And as you can see, now the whole binary mechanism is complete because this surface here is filled. If you look on the inside, you can see that every single part that's on this surface fills the surface completely. There's not one gap left out, except maybe here, but that's because I'm missing a part. That's just a mistake that I made when showing the parts that were missing. I'm just gonna fix that. Alright, so here is the part that was missing. It's still part of the 9x9 layer. So as you can see, there's not one single gap on the 9x9 shell. And now you can see a perfect sphere that is actually covering the whole 33x33. Now let's move on to the rest of the mechanism. Now I didn't choose a binary approach for the rest. Let me show you all the parts so that you can see which approach I used for this layer. So you can see that now every single part is visible. Now let me show you from this side right there. Let me see if I can get it to show in that direction. Perfect. So you've got the binary mechanism right there. So here you've got one part between these two, one part between these two, one part between these two, and that is the 9x9. And then over this, I chose, instead of inserting one layer in between each layer, I inserted all 3 of the remaining layers in between parts. So in between each 9x9 part, there are 3 parts. So let me show you. There is one hook on the left. That's for the first part. Then there's a second hook on the left. Again, this part is hooking to the left inside, well, under the first part, which is under this hook right there. And then there's one last part that hooks to the left and then again to the right. Now I did this in order to gain stability on the overall design. And I do not regret it because the design is very stable. It's only when you get close to those parts like this one, this one, this one, and that one, that you can get pops. So now let me show you something. It's that you get every single time between two layers, you get the same mechanism. I actually managed to fit this mechanism everywhere. So on between the first and the second layer of the 9x9, you get three parts, one to the left, another one to the left, and one to the left and to the right. And you get the same thing later on. To the left, again to the right, here to the left, left, right, left, left, right. And this gives it a lot of stability. Now, unfortunately, you could not use this with FDM printing because that would be just too much work and you would probably spend thousands of dollars just to get the parts right because every single part would need to be reprinted I don't know how many times in order for it to work. So I would not recommend any of you try to make a design that big using FDM printing. Unfortunately, SLS printing is very expensive, so good luck with that as well if you're trying to beat my record, which is, I highly recommend that you guys try designing puzzles, but seriously, don't start with a 33x33. It was a nightmare to assemble, and I'm never doing something of that magnitude again. Alright, so I want to show you one last thing that is kind of cool. Now, can you see this part here? You can see that the shape is kind of quirky. Now, this whole layer is actually, this whole layer has that shape. Every single part on that layer is, you know, because it's cut with a surface of revolution, this whole layer has the same shape. Now, if you intersect it with a part, say that one, with this shape right there, so now the intersection of those two layers would be obviously that piece right there. I'm gonna isolate that piece, and you'll notice something that is quite cool. As you can see, on the one side, you see that this shape is the shape of the layer that I just showed you. And if you look at the other side, you can recognize the shape that I had before. Now, that means that every single layer is the intersection of two different shapes, which means in the whole entire puzzle, there are not two parts that are identical. Now, most of the parts are similar. Well, not very similar actually, they're quite different, but they have similar shapes even though you can recognize parts, you can actually distinguish them from each other, unlike Oscar's floating anchors mechanism. So what I was doing was applying a rather design for assembly approach, and I don't think that's what Oscar did. So as you can see, this part would be the only one to have this shape on this side, and the shape that I showed you earlier on the other side. Okay, so if you look at these parts, for example, you can see that the shape is quite different from this one. This one is much shorter right here. This one is completely different, and this one has this on that side. So even if you had the intersection of one of those four parts right there, and a part that is, for example, like this one, well, all of them would be different because you would see the difference between the four sides, right? The four sides are completely different, these four right there. So in any case, you can always differentiate the different parts, and that is great because it really makes assembly easier, as I said. So yeah, this is the mechanism of the 33x33 binary approach at the beginning, up to 9x9, and then 3 layers in between each layer. So I hope you found this informative, and don't hesitate to try designing puzzles if you're interested in that sort of thing. I actually have a 3-hour tutorial, but don't be intimidated by the fact that it's 3 hours. I've put timestamps so that you can choose what you're interested in, and you can just listen to the video and try to figure out how to design puzzles. So if you want to try, be my guest, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video of the design. Now don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everything, and I will see you in the next video.